sort of a trying year. You know, when you turn 50, you get look back and say, I cannot believe I'm 50 years old. What happened?
No, you're telling me.
I remember actually when I went first to play tennis, we went to a place called Columbus, Ohio.
Yes.
And we were staying with families in those days. And so my brother and I got off the plane and we came down, and this wonderful middle American family didn't think we spoke English. So they had this big board out that said Amritraj, and then, you know, they started talking to us in sign language. And, you know, people didn't quite know as much about India as they do today. So in 1981, when I got into the film business, I thought it was going to be easy, but, you know, needless to say, Hollywood makes you pay your dues. And certainly for the next 5, 6 years, it was not that easy, but it was also a very...
Yeah, you sound like a good boy. Okay, all right. More audible now.
There we go.
I have a voice. All right.
But it is very multicultural today, whether it's Chinese or Indian or...
But what does this term mean to you? You know, when we in India, we talk about crossover.
Crossover films, I don't think have happened yet. I think, you know, there seems to be a generalized term that people use for movies with Indian actors that are shot in English. I would say the majority of them have not gotten released in the US, let alone really crossed over to a non-Indian audience. You know, many of them play Indian screens and get to the NRI audience. But certainly, nothing has become a Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon, you know, Life is Beautiful, or any of these movies that are truly crossed over.
Do you believe Ang Lee's Crouching Tiger was Hero, which was a Chinese film that did very well domestically in North America? But don't you think, like I believe Crouching Tiger did do well in its domestic market? Do you believe that the film has to somehow cater to the West? There was a westernization aspect of that film. And that's the reason it did well, you know, in North America. Do you believe we need to change our format? It should be at all. If we need to
I think if you want to, right now, the Hollywood cinema and the Indian cinema are running on parallel tracks. I think it is very difficult to make an Indian movie that caters to an Indian audience, which of course is your core audience.
Yes.
While at the same time access a Western audience. I think it's really difficult for a Western audience to understand the morals, the traditions, the culture in that Indian, you know, sphere. So yeah, you will have to skew it a little bit. The worry, of course, is that you
lose our domestic. That's my question, which I ask everyone. So, what is it that one aspect that we want out of the West in terms of barring the fact that we need the distribution aspect and, you know, wider, you know, audience and more eyeballs to your film? But do we, as Indian filmmakers, really need to go there?
Well, you know, I think it's always great to penetrate the global market.
Yes.
I think certainly there is more, there is a greater understanding of India today, Indian culture today, than there was 10 years ago. So I do think the window is open. I think it's going to grow. So now the question is, you don't have to go all the way and make a sort of a, you know, Kramer versus Kramer, you know, but there is a point that you can get to, I think, where America is finally starting to understand that there is a world out there besides what was a very isolationist policy before.
Yeah.
So I do think it's getting there, but your point about mainstream cinema, very well taken, because right now the Indian films, you know, even the ones that are as great as yours, and as extraordinary a marketplace as yours does around the world, still play in the Indian cinema theaters and not yet in the AMC or the Regal and all of that. And I think part of that is just not understanding.
Because we haven't, Indian cinema, we haven't been able to penetrate the theatrical network in America at all. The United Kingdom has been very accepting. The North America is just blocked to our films, and they haven't opened up their theatrical networks to us at all. And is there any way we can change that? I mean, you being the ambassador for India in America, what would your advice be in that?
You know, I've had a number of discussions with the studios there, who to a great extent have most of these deals with the theaters. I think part of it has been that the studios have not figured out how to sell an Indian movie to a traditional audience, to a traditional white audience. Also, the problem is that the print and advertising cost for a American movie is so high that it's $30–40 million for the first weekend. That when you pick up one of these films, what do you do with it? However, they do pick up Soxy, which is the South African movie that won the Oscar,
Yes.
and a lot of other movies. So I think it's almost there. I think in the next year or two, in my discussions with the studio, it's great to see a lot of all the studios almost now represented in India, and all of them looking at India for production. So
are they just looking at us or doing something about it?
they're looking.
They're looking. And we're looking back.
Yeah, they're looking back. There's a lot of looking going on.
Okay, so then we have to, the acting upon has to happen. All right, that's wonderful. Your like films like you've done, like Bringing Down the House, which grossed over 200 million. Is there anything like you're personally looking at doing something with India that would be this marriage that is a requirement in terms of if someone like you can do it? Are you looking at doing something at all with India yourself?
I am looking at one particular film called The Other End of the Line, which is a movie that I've been developing for a while. The way that my company operates is sort of we get presented a bunch of projects, ideas, screenplays, novels, plays, probably over 100 a month to my different executives, over 1,000 a year. We end up developing probably 20, and we make 3. So this has been in development for a couple of years, and it's a wonderful sort of pretty woman kind of Indian story about with an Indian lead girl and an American guy. 50% in India, 50 to 60% in India, and the rest in San Francisco. And it's romantic and it's warm and all of these things, but it still, has to be, you have to find that Indian girl where I need your help, which you have to find one that can translate. So right here and now, I'm going to put you on the spot.
All right.
Because
you're not the one. You can't put me on the spot.